Well, here we are again, standing on the edge of the abyss, utterly convinced that we must at all costs cling to the rail. And the rail, the thing we clutch so desperately, is the notion that we are somehow escaping. Escaping what, precisely? Escaping the now. We are, to put it mildly, dreadfully dissatisfied with the sheer fact of existence, which is always perpetually this moment. We carry on with this extraordinary, almost comical pretense that life is composed of three equally substantial dimensions: a heavy, irrevocable past, a shimmering, promising future, and this wretched little hyphen of a present that we must constantly hurry across. It is, you see, a metaphysical nonsense. It's like trying to divide water into wet that was, wet that will be, and wet that is right now. The divisions simply don't hold up. They are merely concepts, intellectual chalk lines drawn on the living floor of reality. And yet, this is the very foundation of our anxiety. We define ourselves not by what we are doing, but by what we have done, or by what we are frantically preparing to do. The skin-encapsulated ego, this feeling of being an isolated little driver in a skull, is nothing more than the persistent echo of memory and the frantic tremor of expectation. Think for a moment of this so-called past. Where is it? It is nowhere. It has vanished. It is not a place you can go back to. It is merely a pattern of neural traces, a ghost in the machine, a peculiar selective collection of recollections that we drag along like a colossal, cumbersome trunk. We sift through it, mourn its losses, cling to its triumphs, and allow it to dictate the tone of our current moment. When you are feeling guilty, you are simply allowing a certain pattern of memory to dominate your present awareness. When you are feeling nostalgic, you are savoring the echo of a pleasant moment, but you are still in the present. The past is, in essence, an abstract collection of information that only exists as a psychological event happening right now. We are forever trying to re-edit a movie that has already been struck from the reel, and the effort utterly exhausts us. And the future is even more phantasmal. It is pure hallucination. It is the imagined reward, the promised security, the magnificent destination we hope to arrive at so that we can finally stop running. But the moment that future arrives, where is it? It is, of course, the present. It loses all its shimmering, seductive qualities and becomes just this. We sacrifice the palpable reality of our lives today for the sake of an abstract, purely mental construct of tomorrow. It is the pursuit of a carrot tied to your own head, a ludicrous, delightful bit of self-deception where we are running around in circles trying to cash in an imaginary check. This perpetual postponement, this deferral of joy, is what we call seriousness. We are so busy preparing for life that we entirely miss living it. This brings us to the now. This is the only place we ever are. It is the only thing that is actually happening. It is not a thin slice of time, but the very flow of existence itself, and it is vast, immeasurable. When you truly pay attention to this moment, you realize it has no end and no beginning. It is eternal. The sound of the birds singing, the rumble of traffic, the feeling of the chair beneath you, the very act of thinking these thoughts, it is all one seamless, uninterrupted event. And it is utterly, fundamentally spontaneous. You see, the universe isn't going anywhere. It isn't trying to achieve anything in the sense that a human being tries to achieve a goal. The universe is simply expressing itself like a dancer dancing. The point of the dance is not the final step. It is the sheer, exquisite joy of the movement itself. When we say the universe is, we mean it is flowing, moving, vibrating, shining, and creating. It is a verb in action. And you, as an individual, are simply what that verb is currently doing at this particular point in space-time. You are the universe expressing a you. The moment you cease fighting the present, the moment you cease demanding that the now should be something other than what it is, a tremendous and immediate liberation occurs. You drop the heavy luggage of the past, and you stop being hypnotized by the illusory destination of the future. You suddenly discover that you do not need to manage your life in the way you thought you did. You don't have to force yourself to pay attention. Attention is simply what happens when you stop trying to not pay attention. You don't have to consciously beat your heart or digest your food. The great management system is already doing it, and you, the so-called I, are merely the intelligent, vital process that is being managed. To wake up is to realize that you are already what you are seeking. You are the Tao. You are the way. You are the flow. The division between the observer and the observed, between the self and the other, dissolves utterly. The only separation was in the mind, a conceptual boundary invented for the delightful, confusing, and ultimately unnecessary game of trying to catch your own breath. Now let's dwell a moment on this matter of effort, because if you accept that the present moment is all there is, the immediate neurotic response of the conditioned mind is to say, I must force myself to stay in the present. And that, my friends, is where we trip over our own feet. That is the final, ultimate contradiction. When you try to force yourself to be spontaneous, you become dreadfully, miserably unspontaneous. You try to grasp the now and it slips away like water. It is like trying to flatten the surface of a pond with an iron. The moment the iron is withdrawn, the ripples return. The more vehemently you try to smooth the water of your mind, the more agitated it becomes. The trying itself is the disturbance. The ego, this little separate bundle of effort, is fundamentally incapable of achieving peace, because the ego is the instrument of struggle. Its entire existence is predicated on the idea of conquering the unruly world, and its own thoughts and feelings are part of that world it must conquer. So we create this hopeless paradox, the controller trying to control the controller. It's a marvelous illustration of futility. The ancient Chinese philosophers understood this perfectly well. They spoke of Wu Wei, which is often translated as non-action or effortless action. But it is not a passive surrender to apathy. It is not simply lying down and giving up. It is the action of a river flowing around a rock, not the action of a hammer trying to smash it. It is skilled, spontaneous, and utterly effective because it is aligned with the grain of the cosmos. The secret of action is to know when not to interfere, when to let go, when to simply watch the universe function through you as you. Because the moment you stop struggling, you find that the mind is fundamentally silent. The stream of consciousness, the incessant chatter of the I, trying to justify itself, to criticize, to plan, that is the struggling. When you stop feeding that struggle, the chatter subsides. It is like stirring a muddy cup of tea. If you stop stirring, the mud eventually settles. The silence is the natural state of the mind, not the noise. And this silence is always available in the present moment, because silence is simply the space between all sounds. When we talk about the past and the future being illusions, what we are really saying is that the only reality is the vibration, the oscillation, the dance between opposites. We cannot know up without down, sound without silence, or life without death. They are not two separate things fighting, but two poles of the same single, inseparable energy. Just as the crest of the wave is utterly dependent on the trough that precedes it, the joy you seek is inseparable from the sadness you run from. And this eternal rhythmic pulse is exactly what you are. You are the constant, magnificent, spontaneous alternation of form and void, coming and going, breathing in and breathing out. When you resist the now, you are resisting the downbeat of life, insisting on the upbeat forever. But the whole symphony is dependent on both. You couldn't appreciate the light unless you had the darkness. You couldn't feel the thrill of coming into being unless it was balanced by the equally marvelous mystery of dissolving away. This is the great comforting truth of the present moment. It is inherently sufficient. It doesn't need to lead anywhere else to justify itself. This sound, this light, this breath, it is the whole universe playing its entire repertoire right now. It is utterly perfect in its fleeting, momentary existence. We are so desperate for a guarantee, for a future where we will finally be happy, safe, and secure. But the only guarantee is the sheer, wild, unpredictable nature of the present flow. And to truly live is to throw yourself into that flow, completely. It means letting go of the internal manager, that little conceptual person you think you are, who is actually just an anxiety machine designed to keep you out of the terrifying, glorious spontaneity of what is. When the manager finally takes a holiday, and he will only take one when you stop feeding him the notion that he is indispensable, you discover that you are not just a puppet being danced by the universe. You discover that you are the dancer, you are the creative source, eternally manifesting this whole astonishing scene. You are what the universe is doing now, and this now is not a rushed interval. but the eternal, unmoving center of all things. So, relax. Let your thoughts and feelings happen without interference, like clouds passing across the sky. Don't push them away, and certainly don't cling to them. Just let them be, because they are simply part of the flow of the now. The fear of death, the worry about money, the regret over yesterday, these are just patterns in the vast, clear, luminous awareness that you already are. This awareness doesn't struggle, it simply notices. And when you simply notice, the struggle ceases and you realize that you were always home. You were always here. You were always it. And isn't that just splendid?